This is titled the Trading Life Podcast, but I don't talk enough about the life part, and that I'm going to talk more about that stuff in the coming episodes, I think, or podcasts. It just makes sense it's the stuff I talk with my friends all the time about, but I'm not on here doing that as much. And I think a lot of people probably have the same challenges and are interested in a lot of the same stuff, so I'm going to just put some of it out. In terms of this one, eating and exercise are the topics, and like a lot of you, I've gone down every single road. I think I've gone down as many eating, exercise, workout roads as I have trading roads, if that's even possible, over 20 years. But in this, there's no, just like trading, there's no clean answer to this. Everyone has a different constitution and different needs and different lifestyles. So there's not going to be like, this is the best thing to do. But there are some things that are better to do than others. And this is something that I've really had to work with in terms of, especially now that I'm almost 41. When I was in my 20s or 30s, I could eat whatever I want. I'd always been someone who's in sports and have been working out, so I've always stayed pretty fit that way. But when you have kids and you get a little older, it's easy to slide a lot more than it used to be. So I've paid attention to this more recently. But I listened to a podcast, and it kind of updated all the new info on the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting, which we've all heard that those things are pretty good for us. And a lot of neurosurgeons use the ketogenic diet, but I've always found it to be very impractical for a lifestyle choice. It's hard to do with kids. It's just tedious, and it's not very fun. And, I've done it for a few days, and I try to eat more that direction. But the good news is the new research that's coming out is showing, I have some really good podcasts on this if anyone's interested, but it's showing that through studies of mice and animals, and actually human studies too of some Italian cyclists, they're finding that you can have the exact benefits of the ketogenic diet without really doing the ketogenic diet. And the way that works is just preserving your mitochondria. And I'm not an expert on this, but this is just my 80% understanding from listening to podcasts. These mitochondria, the longer they're around, generally speaking, the more people seem to have longevity and have less problems. And things that keep them around are temporary mechanism of showing that you're starving, which can be induced by intermittent fasting. But they found that all you really need to do is have a feeding window. Ideally, you're only eating 6 hours a day. Some people push it to 8. So the way I've kind of hacked this for myself is I stop eating at 7, Monday through Friday, and I start eating again the next day, 7 p.m. Then I start eating again the next day about 1 p.m., give or take. And sometimes I cheat and I miss a day. And on the weekends, I just don't do it. I eat with my family and I don't worry about it. But it works really well for me to focus on trading and work and research, and I kind of forget about eating. I'll have a coffee in the morning. And one of the other really cool things I figured out is Mct Oil in your coffee actually induces ketosis. So it actually produces the things that you get from intermittent fasting at a higher level. So you can put that in your coffee in the morning. I don't have any cream or anything. I just have that Mct oil in coffee, maybe 2 cups or 1 cup. And that really stems your hunger desire. And it's tough for a couple of days, but it's generally really, I know a lot of you probably do this already, something like this, but I feel great. I mean, I've leaned up quite a bit. Then I eat as much as I can fit into the feeding window that I feel like eating. I don't really worry. I still eat pretty healthy, but vegetables and stuff like that. Try to cut my sugar down. But one thing that I try to do is, just stick to that feeding window of 6 to 8 hours. And when I do that, I tend to feel a hell of a lot better than when I'm eating all day. And I had a problem with eating at 9 o'clock at night, and it's tough because in the morning my family wants to eat. So when they want to eat, I feel like I want to eat. And, it's way easier when I'm by myself. So sinking into my work and doing it during a work day is much easier than the weekend. So that's been a really positive thing. And it fits perfect in my schedule. You could use whatever hours you want, but you benefit by doing it while you're sleeping, obviously. But it's really, those benefits really start kicking in from the research I did when you get to that 14, 15, 16 to 18 hours without eating. It does the most, kind of signals that starvation mechanism in a sense. And I can't talk super intelligently about it. I just know that it's been shown to be very effective. So you don't need to go crazy. And the other thing they said was when you're in that window of eating, you don't have to go crazy and cut all your carbs and stuff. You can eat carbs because you're getting the massive benefits of it during that long fast. So you can be a little more liberal with what you eat. Still general principles still apply with being a healthy eater or whatever you want to do. But I still have a pizza every few weeks, and I have a baked good once in a while. I have a drink. I'm not stopping that stuff. But it's a really good way to kind of do a lot of the best stuff without having to be too miserable. It's honestly pretty pleasurable to do. I don't mind it at all. I have a lot of friends who do it, and they've gotten really good results. So that's kind of where I'm at on the eating front, without getting super into, lots of colored vegetables and what kind of meats or fish and all that kind of stuff, which I think everyone just kind of does what they're going to do with that. But this is one thing that I think everyone could use at times and benefit. And I guess I'll probably talk more about exercise on a different one, but that's something I've also had a little bit of a different change. I'll just talk about it now. Why not? That's something I've had a little bit different change of heart. I used to do very intense kind of CrossFit type stuff, and I don't do that as much anymore. I go intense a few times a week, only for like 10 minutes. And then I do some weightlifting, some yoga, and lots of walks. Lots more walks and low-key stuff than I used to. I found that a life of drinking coffee, trading, high adrenaline stuff, and super intense workouts just hurts your adrenals and burns you out. It ages you. And that really intense exercise, especially when you get over 40, over 50, is only good for you for a very short amount of time, not that many times a week. It's actually counterproductive to do too much high intensity training. It's not good for your heart. It's just a little bit. And too much is, over an hour is just way too much. It's not healthy. You're hurting yourself. So that's what I've learned a lot, to scale that back and just be more cautious and just more enjoy it more. And I have not been in any worse shape. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. It actually makes me a lot happier and more calm to do it this way. So that's kind of been my overall approach on the exercise. At times I want to have a journal where I write down all my lifts, and I'm very motivated and focused. I find I get way more done when I do that. But other times I decide that I don't want to do that. I just want to lift whatever I feel like for the day, or I want to do yoga and skip my lifting for a few days. And that's kind of how I do it now, and it feels pretty good. And, it's similar to my trading in a way. It's kind of whatever, it's not whatever I feel like, it's kind of whatever is working. But I could have a setup. My best trade for one quarter might be very different from my best trade for the next quarter. It might be very different thinking process, but I find that all of it becomes, they all kind of rhyme together in a way. I can explain. They're all very simple. All this stuff is very simple that works. It's like very walk every day, do some yoga. Even if you don't want to do yoga, stretch a little sometimes at night, feels good. Do a little weight training, fast once in a while. These things get up early sometimes. It's remarkable how this simple stuff just makes you happier and can really pull you out of a low spot when you start. It just gives you some sort of a purpose or a path to be a little more, I don't know what the right word is. It just gives you a little self-respect sometimes when you need it, or a little bit of direction. Because when I get down, or I'm not trading well, or I'm not sleeping well, it's easy to just skip this stuff and start to feel like shit about myself. So that's kind of, this stuff straightens me out. And once this straightens out, the energy seems to come back everywhere else pretty quickly.